in the run-up to this meeting. Of course, as you know, the battleground is Europe. And here someone has provided us with an excellent slogan. Our Europe, not theirs. That is an excellent slogan. We fight against the European supergovernment. We fight against the single currency. But we don't fight against the patriots of France, the patriots of Germany, of Spain, Italy, and the other European nations, who are just as entitled to their freedom and their sovereignty as we are to ours, who are just as entitled to defend their homelands and their national identities as we are to defend ours. In our Europe, the alternative Europe, national borders will be respected. But across those borders, the hand of friendship will be offered to those who want to work with us in one overriding cause: to keep the nations of Europe European forever. Down to future generations of Europeans, the genes and the blood that flowed in the veins of Homer, Alexander, Edward I, Frederick the Great, Newton, Galileo, Nelson, Leonardo, Bach, and Shakespeare. That is what we must hand down to the future generations of Europe. And it's amazing to me that the politicians, they're always talking about Europe, they're always talking up Europe, the great European ideal that they're always saying they believe in, and yet these are the very people who have been busy over the past 40 years bringing the third world flooding into Europe to occupy our homeland. How can they? How can they talk of themselves as Europeans? So we must not be forced into the trap of declaring ourselves anti-Europe. We are anti the EU, anti the single currency, anti the idea of a super government. But we are the guardians of the finest traditions of European culture, European civilization, and above all, the indigenous races that have made Europe the greatest continent in the world. Now, in next year's Euro elections, there'll be other parties who claim that they too are defending Britain's freedom. But on the bottom of their leaflets, they take care to say that they're non-racist. I have a note sent out by one of these parties to an inquirer who passed it on to me. It talks about parties like the BNP being highly racist, as if that's a terrible thing to be. And it says, we want nothing to do with them. Indeed, our Constitution specifically outlaws such attitudes. So there, what do you think of that? Now, ladies and gentlemen, what on earth sense can there be in that? What on earth is the point of fighting for this country's freedom and sovereignty if at the end of it all, the British nation is lost anyway through immigration, multiracialism, and interbreeding? All around the world there are hodgepodges of populations who have a kind of nominal self-government. But that's about all they do have in terms of possessing people able to survive in the world without regular huge dollops of courtesy, of aid, courtesy of our own taxpayers. They have no nationhood at all worth talking about. They're only nations in name. They're only nations in the sense of possessing a little piece of paper saying that they have their own sovereign government, but they can't claim to be nations in any other sense, because any nationhood they ever have or ever had has been eliminated by racial mixture over the centuries. So the whole idea of political sovereignty, of free self-government, is absolutely meaningless unless you defend the race, the people, the stock, the breed that is the foundation of that nationhood in the first place. One is no good without the other.